And welcome back, everybody. Let's take a peek at what's trending right now. The trending music is tremendous. Scott Walker is trending high right now. Iowan Republicans like the governor from Wisconsin. Let's take a look at a new Bloomberg poll, shall we? Bloomberg Politics and Des Moines Register Iowa poll taken last week prior to Mitt Romney dropping out showed Mr. Walker surging in the Hawkeye state. Governor Walker currently sits at 15%, up 4 points since October. And remember, this is before Mitt Romney dropped out, so you got to figure a couple more points going in his favor there as well. While the Senator Rand Paul is at 14%, as you can see. Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, who won the Iowa caucuses in 2008, he stands at 10%. However, he's only polling at 1% for those who think that Crazy in Love is the greatest Beyonce song ever. So, I don't know why I keep bringing that up. Is that surprising, Rick? Not the Beyonce part, but the part about Scott Walker being on top of Iowan polls. Compose yourself.
Well, actually, it wasn't that surprising pre-yesterday, but after watching the governor on ABC's This Week yesterday morning, I'd be very surprised if those numbers hold. Let's take a look, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Nice talk.
What's your big, bold, fresh idea in Syria?
Well, I think I go back to the red line. I think
Let's not go back. Let's go forward. What's your big, bold idea in Syria?
I think aggressively we need to take the fight to ISIS and any other radical Islamic terrorist in and around the world, because it's not a matter when they attempt an attack on American soil, or not if, I should say, it's when. And we need leadership that says clearly, not only amongst the United States, but amongst our allies, that we're willing to take appropriate action. I think it should be surgical.
You don't think 2,000 airstrikes is taking it to ISIS in Syria and Iraq?
I think we need to have an aggressive strategy anywhere around the world. I think it's a mistake.
But what does that mean? I don't know what aggressive strategy means. If we're bombing and we've done 2,000 airstrikes, what does an aggressive strategy mean in foreign policy?
I think anywhere and everywhere we have to go beyond just aggressive airstrikes. We have to look at other surgical methods. And ultimately, we have to be prepared to put boots on the ground if that's what it takes. Because I think,
Boots on the ground in Syria? U.S. boots on the ground in Syria?
I don't think that's an immediate plan, but I think anywhere in the world.
You wouldn't rule that out?
I wouldn't rule anything out. I think when you have the lives of Americans at stake and our freedom-loving allies anywhere in the world, we have to be prepared to do things that don't allow those measures, those attacks, those abuses to come to our
I haven't seen Rick Unger chuckle like that.
It's the bless his heart moment for today.
I mean, I have to say something about the beginning of the interview and why Martha Raddatz was asking the question she was. He began the interview by saying that candidates need to have a big, bold, new strategy. Mm-hmm. That was his big, bold, new strategy, to complain about what Obama did a couple of years ago, to talk about boots on the ground but no boots on the ground, and to suggest we get more aggressive. That was his big, bold, new strategy. So I sat there, I got to tell you, I watched this interview, and look, the world knows I'm not the biggest Scott Walker fan. Mm-hmm. Walking the Planet, and as I always say, to be fair, he's not a big fan of mine either. But what a ridiculous appearance. If he still has 15% going into Iowa next week or in the next 2 weeks, people are not paying attention.
You think it was that damaging?
Oh, I thought it was unbelievable.
When he was talking about big, bold ideas, though, was the context strictly around ISIS and Syria, or was he
he
talking
was
about
talking
a general
in general
theme?
He was talking in general, but if you're going to open up that way, the moral to the story is if you don't come with big, bold ideas in your pocket, probably best not to bring it up, because they then moved on to immigration, where he also had no big, bold ideas that we haven't heard for years. And they may be good, what we've heard for years, depending on what you believe, but he had nothing new to offer. In fact, with one exception, he changed what he had said 2 years ago to be a little more acceptable today.
What I know is that he has won 3 elections in Wisconsin, and that's a very, very blue state.
Is that a reason to be president?
No, it's not a reason to be president, but I would argue that the strength of the Republican Party is obviously in its governors. They control 32 of 50 states.
You can make that argument very successfully.
Absolutely.
He's just Scott Walker, one of them.
He's not one of them.
Why
is he polling so high, AJ Delgado?
People love him, I think, mainly because they don't like the other contenders and think, well, Scott Walker's the alternative to them. But really, when you dig beneath the surface, what has he done? Yeah, we know he's great against unions. Okay, what else? That's one issue he's great on. Personally, I'm not convinced, and I don't think he has the substance, and this interview showed it, as Rick pointed out, with ideas, with policy measures. You're great on unions, what else? Show me something else. So far, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he shot into the national spotlight, was dismantling unions, and that's where the Republican Party really became beloved of him. And I think, I mean, you got to give us more than that.
And let's
It's
get
very
in-
early on.
But let's get into brass tacks on this, man. You know, if you are anti-union, then there's a reason for you to respect what he did in Wisconsin. Beyond that, he has not made good on any campaign promises.
Why does he keep getting reelected?
Because the conservatives have gotten behind him in his home state, and presently there are more of
There are
them.
many more
than there are
Democrats in that home
Actually,
state
there
than
used to be.
Republicans.
There currently isn't. Remember, it's also got a Republican state house too. So at the moment, there's not. So your argument holds a lot of water when you say that there are a lot of Republican governors out there that merit consideration. This is a county executive who's gone way too far.
Well, fortunately, we have 22 whole months to kind of
Agreed.
figure this out and for Mr. Walker to hone his pitch. Coming up next, political potluck. This is the Daily Wrap, and it's only on Newsmax TV.